Hey guys, and welcome. This is Cosmic Stardust here, and I'm here to talk to you about mini arcades. It all started in 2017. In 2016, I was in Bed Bath and Beyond and picked up this this Pacman and Space Invaders LCD games, which are recreations of the vintage LCDs, albeit they've replaced the beeps and the blips with actual arcade samples. And I think I had a friend in a school that had one of these just like this, although it did not sound like it. It played the same. And there's also the Space Invaders, which in my personal opinion is a better playing clone. Come on, start, damn it. And anyway, they're all right if you've got nostalgia for vintage 80s handhelds, but they're not really, I think, what the public was looking for and expecting. And so next we had, and so the following year, and around Christmas holiday season of 2017, I was in a Cracker Barrel and I picked up this little guy. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on for you. And these guys, they're an improvement. They're still not arcade accurate, but they are LCD recreations of, or they're modern recreations on little embedded ARM processors. And they too use samples from the real arcade game. But the buttons are smaller than pencil erasers, as cute as they are. And I don't think you could really play any game that requires rapid action fire on these. Well, that's my opinion, but anyway, I've got the Pac-Man, and I also have Mrs. Pac-Man, which is similar, similar to the first one. And with the incredibly tiny joysticks. And you know what, as cheaply made as these are, I actually kind of like them. Come on, move up, there we go. So anyway, they're really not that bad. Especially if you've got if you've got little kids, you want to introduce them to the arcade scene. I think they would make great stocking stuffers. And the tiny arcades generally retail for about $20 a piece, or you can get them online or in discount shops for $14.95 or so. And here, of course, is the Miss Pac-Man. I still have the box to this. I recently bought it on Amazon, but I generally don't keep the packaging because I think it's just excess waste and to hang around. And quite frankly, I think they look better in the packaging than out of the packaging. Well, Tiny Arcade made these. And now there's this new company, My Arcade, that's gone one step further with the recreations. I'm going to go ahead and take this Galaga machine out of the box. Now, Tiny Arcade is supposed to be coming out with a Galaga machine, and sometime in summer of 2018. But I want you to look real quick. This is my Pacman, and this is the new Galaga. And you turn it on. It's got a little fake coin door that also functions as the power button. And you know, I wasn't as impressed at first because I knew that these larger systems retailed for about $35 online. I picked this Galaga for $25 at Walmart. If you can still find the Tiny Arcades, they'll probably be about $15 on Amazon still. But I've only seen pictures of them online and not by themselves. And honestly, this, to me, with the size, this is a much better product, I would say. Now, one neat feature about these is they actually have the NES ROMs. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and we'll start. Yeah, so this is the actual NES ROM playing on a little Nintendo on a chip, or what's commonly referred to as NOAC. The resolution is higher, although being a clone chip, they do have the side effect of being there's some little audio glitches. Sometimes the fire sounds a little bit off. And there we go. Captured. Fighter captured. But yeah, the screen is much easier to read. It's actual 240p. The Tiny Arcades are closer to what you would find in like a Game Boy or something. They're not 240p. Oh, I just shot my ship. It's so hard to talk and play at the same time. But anyway, that's the Tiny Arcade Galaga, and you know, when I heard that they were Nintendo on a chip, I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna be crappy and stuff. But honestly, the original NES games are a better recreation, in my opinion, than the Tiny Arcade, even if they're not using real arcade samples. They still sound pretty good. But I'm gonna say, if you're an NES snob and like reverse duty cycles or other sound glitches bother you to the point where you can't enjoy the game at all, you know, don't even bother with this stuff. But all the pictures I've seen online, like, I didn't have this to compare it. I never saw them sitting side by side, so I was thinking that, yeah, I'm paying about 10 to 15 more bucks, you know, for one of these that's this big. But that's not the case at all. And to be honest with you, Tiny Arcade's releasing a Galaga or later this summer. I'm not even sure if I want to get it. I may just get the Pacman and keep the scale Pacman and Galaga games. There's also, on the backs of these, there is there's a headphone jack in case you don't want to disturb others with a volume control, and a battery compartment that doesn't need a screwdriver to open. That is smart. I know the CSP or whatever, the Consumer Protection Agency, whatever they're called. They don't want like kids eating the batteries, and so a lot of toys are required to have screws on the battery compartments to make them child-proof. But honestly, that seems like to me just an excuse to not open it up. Don't check the batteries. Don't check to see whether they're leaking and they need to be thrown away. Just leave them in there, and 20 years down the road, some guy picks one up at a retail shop, and then he spends the next 2 hours scrubbing with vinegar and an old toothbrush, trying to polish up the contacts to remove leaky batteries. But yeah, I mean, after having played both, I would definitely give the new My Arcade units a big thumbs up. And they have modified the NES ROMs just a little bit. One thing I noticed was there was no, on the title screen, if we look, instead of Galaga and then licensed by Nintendo, we just have Galaga, I don't know if you can read it, Galaga trademark and copyright 1981 BNEI. Not sure what BNEI stands for. It might be the company that's currently licensing the Namco properties. But besides that, with these little Pacman, these little mini, the tiny arcades having just a low resolution screen, and then these being full scale, and actually when these games were released back in the 80s, they wanted the arcade games to look good. And while they weren't the same as the arcade, I would say based on my experience and based on my experience with the NES version of Pacman, plays better than this. And it's much easier to use. And I noticed there's two ways you can hold it. One is to use your thumbs like that, or you can set it down and use your index fingers. I'm kind of leaning sideways for the camera, but I actually kind of like to use the tips of my index fingers, but I'm also trained on arcade parts too. But either way, I'm sure there's something for everyone to love. The bezel doesn't light up like it does on these, but I think I'm really, drawing at straws here, trying to find something, about these that I don't like, and there really isn't much. These have a 5-volt micro USB port, so if you don't want to run your batteries down, feel free to plug in a cell phone charger. That is a great green initiative, and if you've got a lot of wall warts behind your entertainment center, you could technically just leave it running all the time. But so I'm very impressed with these, and I think it's well worth the 5 to 10 extra markup that you'd have to pay. And like I said, they sell online for about $35, but I found this at Walmart today for $24.95, and I thought I'd check it out. And I will definitely be getting a Pac-Man version of the My Arcade cabinet. And yeah, so this is Cosmic Stardust. Thank you for watching.